Redfall may have a rumored release date of May 2nd, but it probably isn't the game you think it's going to be, especially if you've been imagining a new Left 4 Dead. Described by the studio at Arkane Austin as more like Borderlands or Far Cry, Redfall is going to empower players with a main character that has unique abilities and lots of loot. They've teased some of the abilities and only given a glimpse of the loot system, but the more we learn about Redfall, the more it looks as though it's shaping up to be a standout in the Xbox library. With a campaign that can be played in co-op with friends or solo if you so choose, Redfall takes you to the place aptly named Redfall Island, which is described as a crappy tourist town on the coast of Massachusetts, but according to Arkane studio director Harvey Smith, the aesthetic was heavily influenced by the tourist towns of New England. According to previews and the official website, this town is dealing with the fallout of a scientific longevity experiment gone exceptionally wrong. Wrong in that it created actual vampires that you'll now need to dispose of. Also, a lot of new details were outlined in a recent GamesRadar interview, so we'll talk about that, but Smith also says that this open world promises hours of exploration. He describes locations that make sense with the aesthetic, meaning you'll explore creepy cornfields, old houses that are falling apart, seaside boardwalks, bars, restaurants, and even abandoned fairgrounds. In that interview, we also heard one of the designers say, Redfall is an on-foot game. The scale and the pace is a little slowed down in that respect. We want you creeping through a cornfield at night in the fog, hearing vampires whisper in the dark. Maybe you'll spot a farmhouse in the distance and sneak over to it only to find that it's full of cultists and a few trapped survivors who you can save. That's the kind of vibe that Redfall has. Now, your enemies are obviously the vampires who have decided to set up shop in these areas, but also the cultists that follow them blindly, hoping for the chance to become a vampire themselves. More often than not, they instead become some other abomination that the vampire leaders have found more useful. And just to throw a third faction into the mix, there's the sketchy Bellwether security group who will be on the lookout for anyone crossing their paths. So with all that said, as you're exploring, everything will be tied to a home base where you can interact with NPCs to get side quests or pick up story-driven missions at the mission table. They also said that you could just forego any of these options and instead head any direction you like outside just to see what happens to be going on at any given moment. And it should be noted that depending on the moment you choose to go exploring, the time of day could mean more vampires or more of their cultist followers. Time doesn't stop for you as you go exploring the island, and day could become night, meaning you'll need to utilize an entirely new set of skills against those stalking you. Nests could randomly form during this time, putting vampires into a blood trance, or storms could arrive that signal the spawning of the most powerful vampires in the game, known as rooks. As the space was described as an unfathomably larger space than Prey's Talos, it seems like you could quite easily find yourself lost in the wild during any of these events, with fewer stealth options during the day and more powerful enemies to face at night. Now, if you've watched the piece thus far and you're enjoying what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell, because I have a goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers. I know half the people who watch are not subscribed, so if you hit subscribe, it would help me out. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. Now, on the vampire front, you may face a less evolved vampire known as a minion, or you could face hulking vampires that'll rip you to shreds. Vampires can sound alarms and bring their buddies to play, or just rely on an angler who can suck your blood and will do their best to drag you away from your teammates. One of your goals will be to liberate the neighborhoods held hostage by those vampires. Doing so is how you'll unlock safe houses and help survivors. Those you save may ask for a favor or two, and you'll be rewarded with new gear or the ability to level up existing gear for your efforts. We've only seen a glimpse of the loot system, but this is one area where I imagine Redfall will really open up for fans of looter shooters like myself, and I hope they cover it during the January 25th event. In addition to weapons though, you'll be able to level up your hero with set gear or skills that can be upgraded with skill points. You'll earn these by completing main and side missions in the world. If not leveling your abilities, you can also boost other things like health recovery, storage for ammo, lockpicks, or rewire kits. Weapon-wise, they've confirmed favorites like shotguns and sniper rifles, but there are also stake launchers and UV beams specifically for hunting vampires, all of which have randomized weapon traits that make each drop feel unique and allow for some interesting weapon combinations to form. Some weapons will be cobbled together by locals with whatever they find lying around the island. One example was an old family hunting rifle that had some enhancements duct taped to the side to fight the vampire menace. And in later game you may even find some more military equipment that'll give you more of an edge. When you decide to go into this world, solo or with friends, there are heroes you can choose from. There's LAYLA Ellison, a telekinetic who came to study bioengineering, but of course she volunteered for a medical trial at a local tech company to help with student debt. Now she has telekinetic superpowers that seem like they'll be rather useful in the field. Devinder Dev Krausley was a bit crazier as he had spent his life trying to prove that the supernatural were real. A self-proclaimed cryptid hunter, he uses his studies to craft anti-vampire weaponry that he'll use to great effect. REMI de la Rosa is a robotic specialist whose creations are of the search and rescue variety. Brybon is our main robot who can be a decoy or cover an attack drone given the particular situation. And finally, my favorite that I use in all my thumbnails, Jacob Boyer, is one heck of a shot. In addition to 6 sniping skills, this covert special forces soldier has some experience in the field with recon and combat assignments on his roster. He previously worked for Bellwether and was separated from his team after an encounter with an unknown character. Now, he has a psychic raven that hunts by his side. And look, if you play alone, that's completely fine. You'll pick a hero, level them up, and go through the story or assignments as you see fit. But if you team up, the co-op aspect will let you build familiarity with other heroes, and that kinship will create a bond between those characters over time. At the same time, you shouldn't worry about choosing the same hero, because Redfall won't lock out your favorite if your BFF has decided to roll that way also. Redfall hasn't been quite clear on what time of game it is, but with the recent trailers and GamesRadar preview, Redfall is shaping up to be a very fun entry in the looter shooter genre. We'll find out more on January 25th, but until then, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell to know when my content goes live. Thank you so much for watching so far. Help me hit that 100,000 subscriber note, please. Thank you to the members for supporting me. I do really appreciate you. Also, if you want to watch these without ads, you can do so by clicking that join button right down there and supporting at whatever level you see fit. I'm going to get out of here, but before I go, you can check out this video I did all about Forza if you're interested in Forza, and I am going to get out of here. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.